Coming up today here on the Raiders Report, the Silver and Black signed a few more UDFAs, which now puts us at 17 in total, which I find kind of interesting because John Spytek said that this Raiders team is going to be somewhere around 15, but because we signed 17 UDFAs and we drafted 11 players, that puts the Raiders roster right now at 92 total, if my math is mathing correctly, which means the Silver and Black have to cut one player. I'm going to tell you which players that I would cut if I was on the Las Vegas Raiders. And then at the very end of today's show, Hunter Renfrow signed with the Carolina Panthers yesterday. We're going to break that down a little bit more at the very end of today's show, because if you don't respect Hunter Renfrow, do you even bleed Silver and Black? Before we get into all of this, though, huge shout out to our sponsor here, Panda Sups. Shout out to them. Use code GENTY for 25% off at pandasups.com. Now, I always want y'all to join the family, and I always call the Raiders Report a family because we are way more than a YouTube channel. We are 180 subs away from 193,000. If you bleed Silver and Black, hit that subscribe button. So I talked about some UDFAs yesterday on the show. The number that you're going to see next to them is the amount or the number that we have here for UDFAs. First player coming up, Dom Boyd, offensive lineman from Georgia Southern, and this is somebody who, you're looking at probably about 6'3", 310-pounder, big dude, 1,500 snaps at left tackle, which you like to see that type of versatility. Allowed 6 sacks, 43 pressures, and 952 career pass blocking snaps between Georgia Southern and Alabama State. But for the Raiders, they continuously look to add bodies on the offensive line. You could definitely tell whether it's a draft or a UDFA, John Spytek subscribes to the idea of you can never have too many offensive linemen. Let's go to another player the Raiders ended up signing as a UDFA. Zakhari Franklin, wide receiver from Illinois. Last season, 55 catches, 652 yards, 4 touchdowns, 6'1", 204-pounder. Not the best athlete, only a 2.64 on the RAS score, 4.62 40-yard dash, which obviously is going to concern some people. Does have a few UTSA ties, is where he played before, where he was also teammates with Tariq Woolen. Let's go to UDFA number 17 here, Anthony Booker Jr. I was wondering when the Raiders were going to add a big guy, and he is maybe the biggest defensive tackle we have. 6'3", 347-pounder, 17 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, no sacks. He is a space eater, and I will continuously say it over and over and over again. I don't know if I need Booker to do anything besides take on double teams and eat up space, and that's exactly what he's going to be able to do. Career 82 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, 2.5 sacks. He is a true one-gap defensive lineman, and he's just really, really strong in his lower body, which if you can anchor in, you're going to get more one-on-one opportunities for all the other players on our Raiders defensive line. And when that happens, I think good things are going to happen. So as it stands right now, here is the up-to-date list of the Las Vegas Raiders 2025 UDFAs. You got Joyner, Matt Jones, Parker Clements, Trevor Mae, defensive tackle from Baylor, John Humphrey, cornerback from USC, Hajj-Malik Williams, quarterback UNLV, Greedy Vance Jr., cornerback from USC, Shaun, Dolac, linebacker from Buffalo, Mello, Dotson, Jarrod, Hufford, Carter, Runyon, Hudson, Clark, and then to keep this thing going, Pat Conroy, Jalin Walker, Dom Boyd, Zakhari Franklin, and then Anthony Booker Jr. If you want me to do a video on some UDFA grades tomorrow, I want you to put UDFA grades down in the comments section of this video, because I've been thinking about doing it, and I would like to be able to do it. So if you want to see it, UDFA grades down below. If you want to check out my initial reactions to the first 14 players that the Raiders signed as a UDFA, I put this video out on YouTube yesterday. It's also going to be down in the comments and in the description of today's show. I also illustrate some of the Raiders camp invites, but I'll also talk about some of those guys a little bit more also here on today's episode. So after UDFA signings, if my math is mathing correctly, The Raiders have 92 players on the roster. We are allowed to have 91. Most NFL teams are allowed to have 90. The Silver and Black are allowed to have 91 because we have David Agoa, who is the International Pathway Program player. So because we're allowed to have 91, the Silver and Black have to cut one guy. My question of the nation is this. This will be the pinned comment here on today's show. If you had to cut one player, who should it be and why? My answer is going to be coming up here after this YouTube ad break. While that ad is playing, I want you to scroll on down, and I want you to give me your answer. My answer here in just a moment. If it was up to me, I would just move on from one of these bottom-of-the-roster guys, and you're going to see 10 names I'm going to throw out here in just a moment. Now, I also say this. Sometimes, teams will move on from a player, maybe like a Thayer Munford, where not somebody that I would cut, right? Like right now, do I think he's going to make the roster? No, I don't know if I necessarily do, but could you also consider potentially trading away a player? That's all going to be something that Pete Carroll and John Spytek look at. Though, if I was sitting in the war room, if I was sitting in the room with Carroll and John, these would be the top 10 names that I would put out there and say, you know what? If we want to move on from one of these players to make that extra room, I'm okay with it. I could sit down and give you a reason why I would move on from each of these players. Yeah, moving on, dude, sucks. There's no doubt about it. But it is a part of doing this job, and it's a part of when, evaluating a roster. And I do this show the exact same way that I would if I was evaluating a roster for the Las Vegas Raiders. Coming up next here, the Raiders did invite one more player to camp as well. Now, yesterday I talked about 5 players that the Raiders invited to camp. We have an additional one, and these aren't dudes that are on the roster. These are players that are going essentially for a tryout, and they're trying to earn a paycheck. They're trying to earn a roster spot on an NFL team. Before I get into that, though, today's show sponsored by Panda Sups, and they want you to try out their brand new aminos. This stacked formula is unlike any other. Panda Sups combine the best of BCAA, EAA, and hydration products on the market into one, starting with 10 grams of BCAAs and EAAs for optimal muscle recovery and performance. It features coconut water. I love me some coconut water. I've also done a lot of research on the benefits of coconut water, packed with minerals like calcium, phosphorus, sodium, potassium. Our blend helps maintain fluid balance and prevents cramping and ensuring you can push harder and recover faster. It's perfect for any athletes or fitness enthusiasts or someone who's looking to just recover and stay hydrated into their day. I use BCAAs when I get home from a Raiders report bender. I use BCAAs when I wake up the next morning and I'm a little bit hungover. I use BCAAs after every single one of my workouts. I use BCAAs after every time I go out and run. This is a product that I don't think a lot of people know about, but I want you to look up the scientific reasons of why it's really, really important to use BCAAs. If you take time out of your day to go work out, if I told you when you go work out, wouldn't you want to get 100% out of your muscles, your body out of that workout? Not taking BCAAs is already saying that there's a 0% chance you're going to be able to get 100% out of that workout. You already went. Get 100% out of that workout. Code GENTY, 25% off at pandasups.com. So now the next thing we're going to look at is some of the Raiders' offseason workouts because, again, that ties into some of these camp players are going to be coming in and working out. This has already happened. For off-season workouts, May 19th is the very first date there. I also talked about potentially having a Raiders player on our live show on Tuesday. I am still planning on having a Raiders player on our live show on Tuesday who we drafted, though he did just message me and said we might have to switch it to Thursday, working out a few little of the odds and ends with Pete Carroll and John Spytek, and I'll be real. That's way more important than joining this show, my dude. So get taken care of. If you want to come on next week, the week after that, we'll figure it out. It's all good. But in terms of off-season workouts, again, May 19th is the day to look for. Mandatory minicamp that begins on June 10th. Dorian Singer, 53 catches, 702 yards, and a touchdown from Utah, did end up getting the invite. Smaller guy. He's got some good speed to him, but anytime you see somebody from Utah, I always think that they come from like a really physical football team. Lots and lots of receivers, I don't know if you noticed, were added this offseason by the Raiders in terms of the draft and UDFAs. More of the Raiders camp invites. So far, I have 6 names. These are the 6 names that I have. You got DB, Camp Goff, Bless Harris, best name out of the bunch. Josh Carlin are the offensive lineman. Tom Callahan is a long snapper. And then Callan Griffin, running back. Dorian Singer at wide receiver. Before I get on out of here, I was going to do a video late last night, and when I saw Hunter Renfrow ended up signing with the Carolina Panthers, if you didn't see this, now's your opportunity to see it. I'm excited, though, for Renfrow to get another opportunity. The Panthers were the team that he tried out for before he ended up having a visit with the Raiders. So the way that timeline worked out, he worked out for Carolina on Wednesday, and then if you remember, he worked out for the Raiders on that Friday. Carolina's the state that he grew up in. He went to college at Clemson. I'm excited to see what Renfrow has, and I really just wanted to put him in this video because I think every single person from the nation does respect Renfrow a little bit. So if you guys could, throw a 13 down below, show Renfrow a little bit of love. We'll see if he ends up making that Carolina Panthers roster. I didn't make the video, though, last night because it was Chuck and Alex night after the draft, which I hope that all y'all understand. If any other stuff happens around the Raiders today, I will do my best to keep you guys up to date on Instagram and on Twitter at MitchellRens365.